Okay, Pete, thank you. Stay safe out there. Governor Newsom reacting this evening as a federal judge issued an order blocking the president from deploying members of the California National Guard here in Los Angeles. He has ordered the Trump administration to return control of the forces to Governor Newsom, who reacted to the ruling this way.
Today is a big day for the Constitution of the United States, for our democracy, and I hope it's the beginning of a new day in this country.
More on the ruling now. We're joined live by legal analyst Neama Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. I take it the feds will likely appeal this with the thought that their lawyers can overturn the ruling. Your thoughts?
That's absolutely right, Chris. They will appeal. In fact, Judge Breyer stayed or put this order on hold until tomorrow to give them the opportunity to do so. And not only will this be appealed to the circuit court, the Ninth Circuit, this will almost certainly end up before the U.S. Supreme Court, because you're talking about a very important issue of federal versus state rights.
Did today's ruling by Judge Breyer in any way surprise you?
It was surprising because he made some pretty important factual rulings. And this is why. Under Title 10, the president is entitled to federalize the National Guard under one of three circumstances. If there is a foreign invasion, and even though some folks in Congress have said there is, that's not something the government argued. But there's two other bases to do so. One is if there's a rebellion against the United States. And Judge Breyer ruled that this was a peaceful protest. It didn't come anywhere close to a rebellion to the extent that there was violence. The third basis is if the president is unable to execute the laws of the United States. And the judge made an interesting ruling. He said, well, ICE can still conduct some civil immigration enforcement and deportations. The fact that they can't do it as effectively as they otherwise need to, that's not enough under the law. That was a pretty narrow reading. So I would be surprised if the Supreme Court sided with the governor on this one, given the conservative majority. I think Newsom and Rob Bonta, the attorney general, may have won the proverbial battle, but not the war.
Yeah, and Judge Breyer did not mince words calling the president's actions illegal. Is it as clear as that, in your opinion?
I don't think so. And I've been very critical of President Trump. He's done some things that are unlawful, even downright unconstitutional. But I think he has the upper legal hand here. When we're talking about national security issues, when we're talking about the enforcement of federal law, this is generally within the purview of the president. And there is precedent, it's decades old, for the president to federalize the National Guard over a governor's objection. Most recently was a civil rights protest in Selma in the South, and before that, to enforce desegregation after Brown versus Board of Education. So I would be surprised if a more moderate or conservative judge agrees with Judge Breyer here.
So a decision tonight, an appeal on the way. What kind of a timeline do you see playing out here before
I think
we finally... Go ahead.
Yeah, the wheels of justice can be slow because this is such an important issue. I would be surprised if it wasn't resolved in a matter of days. Now, obviously, the Supreme Court is not in session, but they can issue an administrative stay here, put this whole thing on hold while there's more formal briefing, there's an evidentiary hearing on this. Because let's not forget, Judge Breyer made this decision without calling witnesses, hearing evidence, just basically based on the declarations and what the lawyers were saying in court.
All right, Neama, thank you for your time this evening.
Of course. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Again, that's Neama Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Scott Burt standing by in the traffic center. We'll check your drive.